Hi S'mores, it's Marsh, and thank you so much for 3K. Many of you suggested that you wanted more content about my sweet OCs. So today I'm gonna go into like a little deep dive about their story and their individual characters, and even answer a little bit of questions about each. While you guys enjoyed this drawing that I spent 4 hours on. So yeah, let's go. Once upon a time, in a land not too far away, with sugar-frosted mountains and rivers of caramel chocolate, there was a kingdom unlike any other. In winter, sugar fell to the ground as snow, and in spring, sprinkles fell from the trees as fruit. This was the enchanted realm of Sugarville, a world divided into lands of cake, cream, forest of walnuts, hills of velvet, and mines of sugarcane. Each corner of this sweet land had secrets, but the most of all was the sweet signature. A magical mark that comes to every girl in the land, waiting to be awakened by a show of courage, growth, and maybe even change. However, not all fairy tales begin with celebration. Not all fairy tales begin with a poisoning. This one begins with a runaway princess. I know, so original, with frosting in her veins and a fire in her soul. I hope you guys enjoyed that very dramatic reading. So yes, this story takes place in a world called Sugarville, which is a giant world that's just filled with everything sweet. The mountains are sugar, everything is sugar, everything is sugar. Okay, everything is sugar, everything is some type of sweet. You have your little boring sweets though. There's a little bit of licorice in there, but you know what? All sweets are welcome. I don't discriminate. Within this world, there are kingdoms, kind of like the four corners of the earth, but it's not earth, it's Sugarville. So yeah. All the princesses are cake princesses because like cake is like, if you guys ever watched Invader Zim, how the tallest are like, you know, in charge of everything because they're tall. Cake is seen as like the top of the top. So that's why they're like in charge of everything and they run everything. Another big thing you need to know about this universe is that all the girls get what's called a sweet signature, which is basically a cutie mark. That's basically what it is, like a cutie mark for My Little Pony. But instead of getting like an actual mark, they get a weapon, because the world may be sugar, sparkle, and rainbows, but it definitely isn't. There is war on the horizon. You can think of Bonnie, Camilla, and Naki as the cutie mark crusaders. They don't have their sweet signature yet, and some of them never will, actually. Now we can get into the world of Sugarville, kind of like a kingdom map. There's multiple different regions and even smaller regions within those, but we can just go over the main ones. Firstly, we have the Cake Kingdom, specifically Bonnie's Cake Kingdom, which is vanilla cake. There are 4 cake kingdoms, and the ones we know of are vanilla, chocolate, and red velvet. The 4th one we don't know about. The royal family lives in a place that I like to call the Spiral of Slices. It's a very high castle, like cake layered castle type thing. It kind of looks like a wedding cake, but way taller. But of course, them being the loving leaders that they are, they allow less fortunate city folk to, you know, live in the cake kingdom in the lower levels. The entire kingdom is famous for its architecture, frosting columns everywhere, sugar grounds, gummy roads. It's so amazing, and it's actually like kind of a tourist spot for those who aren't from the cake kingdom. Bonnie rarely gets to see the beauty of her kingdom though. She's almost kind of always locked up learning how to run the kingdom that she's never allowed to even go in. Our next area is Nutwood Forest. It's an enchanted woodland with trees dripping of caramel and roots lined with walnuts and little squirrels running around. This is where Naki was born, and of course it's home to the famous Tree Hut Cafe. It's her family's restaurant that she's been working at since she was a baby. It's kind of a landmark, also a tourist spot where people from all over Sugarville come to see. Naki runs the place very meticulously, and the desserts they sell are to literally die for. Also, I'd like to address this. Them eating sweets in Sugarville is not cannibalism. It's not cannibalism, I promise. I don't want to say any comments like that. It's not cannibalism, I promise. This region is known for having hard-working people because originally it was just a forest, and they came in and, you know, built a home and a place for themselves. The homes are kind of, I'd say, middle class. It's also seen as the safest place to raise children, so there's a lot of kids and teens just running around, you know, having fun. Now we have Camilla's home region, which is the Velvet Hills, because obviously she is the Velvet Princess. Velvet Hills is a little bit more secluded. It's mainly for people who kind of have a more laid back type of personality, which fits Camilla perfectly, and it's probably the reason why she is how she is. It's very soft and foggy. There's a lot of privacy there, and so there seems to be a lot of mansions and stuff like that, but everyone is so separated and there's not really community. They have underground chocolate rivers and even like a train system down there. The place is full of inventors, so they invented the first train and the first candy floss airship, which I'll talk about later. This region is also home to a type of fruit called velvet pop. It's like something I wish was real. However, the Velvet Hills has like a not very bad reputation, but a mysterious one. Disappearances and magical corruption has happened in the past. So, you know, it's kind of, when Camilla tells people she's from there, you know, it gets a little weird. But as you can tell, Camilla has a lot more freedom than Bonnie does, and it's mainly because Camilla is the princess of Velvet Hills, and it's already so mysterious and not much is expected of her. Our next area is the Frosty Plains. It's a cold, isolated region with mainly frozen desserts. So you would find the ice cream princess here. And of course she's not like a princess, like a cake princess, because like I said, cake is the top of the top, but she's still a princess. Because Frosty Plains is so secluded, people tend to do whatever they want there. It's also seen as a place where the main cake kingdoms tend to exile rebels. I don't know how you become a rebel in a place that's literally made out of cake, but I mean, they have wars, so think of it as the Wild Wild West, but instead of it being hot, it's cold. And fun fact, magic was created in the Frosty Plains. They learned how to manipulate sugar into hard daggers. Safe to say, it's not really a place you want to be uninvited. But they do have a very tight-knit community, especially since most of them are exiled rebels. They kind of formed a band together. The last place I'm going to talk about is the Candy Corn Isles. And I'm taking inspiration from my main story that I have, which I'll talk about later. It's so amazing. I love it. I've had it since I was like literally started drawing, like 10 years old. So in that story, there's this place called Mondavi, and it's a floating island above Earth. So in this story, I have a place called the Candy Corn Isles, which is a floating island above Sugarville. This place can be reached thanks to the innovations of the Velvet Kingdom with their sugar floss airships, and they can, you know, obviously fly around, and they bring stuff from the Candy Corn Isles down back to Sugarville. The Candy Corn Isles is a sacred place, therefore nobody in Sugarville is allowed up there. The candy floss airships kind of work on their own. Nobody has to like man them or anything like that. But the only people who are ever allowed to go to the Candy Corn Isles are the cake princesses, because it's kind of like a magical training ground, I guess you could say. It's where some of them go to try and train to get their sweet signature. Now, speaking of the sweet signature, let's talk about the magic system. So, a sweet signature, like I said, is a magical identity born from the character. So, that could be their personality, their trauma, anything they've grown from, anything like that. Everyone has one except for men. It's only a girl thing, obviously. But they can only unlock it through truly finding themselves. Think of it like a cutie mark. It's literally a cutie mark, only instead of a mark, it's a magical girl weapon. Once you unlock the weapon, it grows with you. And another aspect of this story that's kind of like My Little Pony is the fact that the cake princesses tend to have bigger, better weapons, obviously. But on top of that, they grow as in like they can get multiple weapons, and they can also get extra items that can be like used in fights and battles. So kind of like how Twilight goes from a unicorn to an alicorn, you know. For example, this cake princess has a cake pop that will kill you. So watch out. And even though the weapon you get is totally dependent on you, your personality, and your suite, of course, when it comes to design, but there's also like classes, I guess you can say, like how when you play like RPG, there's classes you can pick. I like to call them flavored classes. So we have fluff magic, which is like celebration, joy, and typically people or girls from the cake kingdom get this. You have core magic, which like your weapon would be like a shield, something for protection, foundation, stuff like that, and mainly people from Nut would have this. Then we have velvet magic. That's it. That's all I'm gonna tell you about that. We have frost magic. I told you about that. You're gonna get stabbed, essentially. And then we have whip magic, which I'm also not gonna tell you about. So yeah, fight me about it. Okay, now we can get into the individual characters, what you guys been waiting for. Obviously, firstly, we have Bonnie. Bonnie is 16 to 17, and she hasn't stepped foot out of her castle. I know, sounds crazy. Anyway, her role is the princess of the cake kingdom, obviously, and her motif is birthday cake. Obviously, her main conflict is that she's tackling having to be defined by who she was born as and not by who she will become. She doesn't really have identity, and that's the issue. When she finds Camilla and Naki, she's immediately drawn to them because they don't care that she's the cake princess. They just care about who she is as a person. I'm debating if I should tell you guys her future sweet signature. Nah, I won't. Some mini lore about her is that she has a pet sugar cat named Crumb. I know, right? Adorable. Now I have to learn how to draw cats. She's obsessed with romance novels. Yes, she's definitely one of those girls. Let's just say she has a very vast book collection. And she often dreams of tasting fake food. Now, if you're wondering what fake food is, it's anything that's not a sweet. So like in their world, they have like their fantasy stories are our real world. So yeah, so like she'll probably like dream of eating pizza or something like that. Now we have Naki, which you guys really seem to like, and I do too apparently because I've drawn her the most. Naki is 16 years old. Her role is the Nutwood Forest caretaker or cafe runner. She loves that restaurant with her heart and soul, and she runs it like a well-oiled machine. Okay, nothing is ever wrong there. They have 10-star reviews because 5 stars isn't enough. She's constantly zipping around making sure everybody has their food and everything is up to par. Camilla likes to help her out with this, but she still does most of the stuff on her own because she really cares about the idea of family and having responsibility. Even so, she is a bit of a klutz, and that can sometimes mess with her self-esteem because she feels like she can always be doing things better. I'd also like to mention that I would hate to have Naki as a server in the real world because I just feel like her hair would get into everything. There's no net that's gonna cover that. Naki also has a strange ability. Her food can actually change people's moods. Probably another reason why her cafe is so popular. Some mini lore about her is that she keeps a charm bracelet from her parents that she never takes off. I'm talking even in the shower. But apparently nothing in this world rots, so it's fine. Another fun fact is that her ears move as actual animals would move. When she's alert, they're up. When she's like sad or something, they're down, etc., etc., you know. Another piece of mini lore that I find fun is that her shoe is absolutely filled with receipts, tickets, like order tickets. She just stuffs them in her shoe, and by the end of the day she has like a boot full of paper. So yeah. Camilla is 17, just like Bonnie, and her role is kind of just this mysterious girl from Velvet Hills. She just, hangs out as though she is not a princess. Actually, the first time that Bonnie met her and Naki met her, that they didn't know that she was a princess at all because, like, I don't know, she's just such a nonchalant dreadhead that nobody can tell,
Leave me alone.
Camilla rarely ever goes home. She kind of lives with Naki at this point. Like, we've never seen her leave Nutwood Forest. We've never seen her even enter Velvet Hills anymore. So yeah, it's kind of weird. And I think I'll tell you guys Camilla's sweet signature. It's going to be called the Velvet Scythe. If I do a quick sketch before I post this video, I will pop it in right here. I'd also like to mention that people are throwing hands in this series, okay? There's no like bibbidi bobbidi magic or anything. Like, when they get these weapons, they use the weapons. Some mini lore about Camilla is that she collects strawberry creatures. Strawberry creatures are not unique to any place in Sugarville, and she just collects them like little babies and keeps them in her purse. She cannot remember her birthday, and it's actually really crazy because yeah, that's kind of really weird. But Bonnie and Naki actually spend, like, if this was a series, they spend an episode trying to figure out her birthday, and when they can't figure it out, they just make her one. And Camilla has a lot of bad dreams, and in this world they call them cake sleep. When I don't know why they call it cake sleep, but they call it cake sleep. And she has a lot of that. Everything's foggy and it's just a bad dream all around. Now we have to get into some diplomatic stuff. We have to talk about the Sweet War. The first Sweet War happened 100 years ago. It's the origin of why the kingdoms are fractured in the first place. It resulted in the Frosty Plains being used as a place of exile, and the Candy Corn Isles actually being shattered from the original Sugarville and being lifted up into the sky. A mysterious entity known as the Velvet Bearer caused an event called the Great Unwrapping. Now, I don't know what happened there, but let's just say something happened. Bonnie's mother, the former Vanilla Cake Princess, restored balance by exiling the Velvet Bearer, but nobody knows what really happened to her. Nobody knows where she's at right now. I'm quickly just gonna go over all the conflicts, I guess. Number 1, Chocolate Cake Princess wants to restore order, but there's already order, so we're trying to figure out what she's trying to restore. In reality, she secretly plans to take control of all of the sweet signatures before they awaken. I don't know why she wants like a million different weapons. I don't know how she's even going to use all that. Maybe she has a secret plan we don't know about. Anyway, next we have the Rebel Movement, which I like to call them the Sour Patches. Coming up with names in the story is so fun. I like to call them the Sour Patches. Not the Sour Patch Kids, just the Sour Patches. They want to end the monarchy, obviously, and believe that Bonnie is the key who can take and awaken all the weapons, and all the weapons in, Frosty Plains. But yeah, so they want to do that to create a war and overthrow the monarchy, which I don't like. Obviously Bonnie isn't gonna like go over with that, because she's like, okay, like, those are my people who I've been taught my entire life to protect. I'm not just gonna help you overthrow my kingdom. What? So yeah. However, let's just say maybe there's a little trickery that goes on. Maybe Bonnie becomes very fond of one of the Sour Patches, and they try to manipulate her into helping them. And of course, Camilla and Naki they're just pulled into this war for nothing. Of course, Camilla, like, obviously, she, because of like her past that you guys don't know about, she's obviously in it based on past lives, stuff like that, right? But Naki, that girl was just trying to bake some cakes. Now she's in a war. So choose your friends wisely, guys. That's the moral of the story. If you don't choose your friends wisely, you might end up in a war. Yeah. And now I want to talk about some of the like little creatures, like some extra stuff like in the story or whatever, blah 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 blah. We have dessert beasts. So we have creatures like s'more wolves, licorice leeches, and toffee bears. They're so cute, actually. They're so adorable. Like, they're just like little creatures, animals or something, based off of sweets, obviously. Then we have rotten witches. Doesn't sound very sweet, does it? But they're basically girls who went rogue and somehow can manipulate flavor types outside of their sweet signature. Now that I've yapped about the world building, I kind of just want to answer some questions about the characters to give you a deeper look into their personalities. This is also helping me develop them more. So I'm kind of giving you guys tips on how to develop your characters also. So feel free to use these questions for your own characters. Number 1, what is their go-to comfort food or dessert when they're stressed, and how do they eat it? So when they're stressed, I think Bonnie eats cake. Like I said, there's no cannibalism in this world. But I think she like angrily stabs at the cake. Like she just it's probably really annoying to anybody who's there. I just can imagine her like sitting at Naki's cafe and Naki made her something to calm her down and she just stabbing the fork against the plate. And Naki's just sitting there like, girl, property damage, come on. Naki, when she's stressed, she definitely eats things like, you know how people do, like, I do this with crackers, but I eat like you just like go straight down like your mouth is a wood chipper. That's definitely how she eats food. Camilla, she doesn't get stressed, okay? Like, she's a nonchalant redhead. We've been over this. What's a weird or niche hobby they secretly enjoy? I think Camilla, we already know she collects strawberry creatures and keeps them in her purse like a weirdo. We can't forget that part. Bonnie, I feel like it's probably, I guess the niche hobby could be like reading books, or like maybe they have like a version of fan fiction in their world. So yeah. Naki loves boy bands, okay? Like, I'm gonna design like, cause I've been obsessed with like Brozone, stuff like that, like Four Town, like, so I want to make like a boy band in this universe that Naki obsesses over. If Naki was real, she would definitely be one of those K-pop stans who spend their entire paycheck on merch. That's exactly her, actually. How do they sleep and what's their bedtime routine? Camilla, she just goes to bed. Like, she can go to bed in the clothes that she's been wearing all day, and I can't do that. I don't know how she does it, but she does it. Bonnie, on the other hand, she was just raised to be extra, I guess. She has a whole 50-step night routine. I think she has to shower, then do skincare, and of course there's steps within those steps. So yeah. She also has to put her hair in curlers every night, but we're not going to talk about it. Naki, she spends about 15 minutes trying to get all her hair into a bonnet. So yeah. What's their irrational fears or phobias? I think Bonnie is scared of having a brother. I don't know what it is, because like most people in Sugarville like have brothers, because like, everything is about the girls, so like, they have brothers or whatever, but like, right? But Bonnie, on the other hand, doesn't have a brother, so like she's always looking at them like weird creatures. She's like, ew, what are you? Because like everything is like female dominated. Camilla, I don't think she's scared of anything, actually. Yeah, I don't think she's scared of anything. Naki, on the other hand, I feel like she's scared of burnt cookies. I don't know, it just feels right. I love this question when I'm thinking of anything related to my characters, but what do they smell like? Camilla smells like strawberries. Obviously, she smells like strawberries. She says like strawberries and a little bit of musk. Just a little bit, just a tiny bit. Mainly strawberries. Bonnie smells like vanilla, obviously. Bonnie smells like vanilla birthday cake. She definitely has vanilla birthday cake from Philosophy. She definitely has that body wash. And Naki smells like peanut butter. I don't know, I feel like she kind of smells like a Reese's cup, just less annoying. What do their bedrooms look like? I think I'm gonna search for some inspo and like put it on the screen of what I think each bedroom would look like. I know that Naki's would definitely be organized and neat, but not to the extent that Bonnie's is. Bonnie's is like pristine in luxury. Camilla, on the other hand, I think that girl, if she had her own apartment, she would just have an air mattress. What are their voice claims? I'm going to do that. Actually, I'm going to insert it right now.
Grab some dance moves, then our video will win the cash prize and voila! Because the contest is for dance music videos, and not one of your ideas included dancing at all! Great clothes. So, if you change your mind, feel free to drop by anytime, okay? Caroline! Well, if you mean Seiji, he was just having lunch with Hama. Caroline! Yes, I'm sure they're gonna sell really well. I know Arashi can look scary, but he's actually really very nice.
I'm good. How you doing? It's a work in progress. It's not finished yet. They're hot. Loser walk zone. Oh, no. It's all right, baby. I'm gonna handle this. You can't play it for long. Put that money back.
And so, our tale is just getting started. Bonnie still hasn't discovered her sweet signature. Naki and Camilla either. Naki is barely holding her shop together, and Camilla, she's got more secrets than Sugarville's ever seen. But that's what makes this story so delicious. So, if you thought this was sweet so far, just wait. There's a war coming, a prophecy, a betrayal, and maybe even a love story baked somewhere in there. Thanks for sticking around for this 3K special lore dump. You guys are the reasons I have stories and can share them, and I can't wait to show you more. And what do you think Bonnie's sweet weapon will be? Or Naki's? Drop your theories down in the comments below, and anyone can guess right. Maybe I'll even take you guys' ideas. I won't, I promise. But yeah, until next time, stay sweet. Marsh is out.